I walked alone in the cold night air, with a heavy heart and a soul laid bare. Mama's lies, love turned to pain, lost in the storm, drowning in the rain.
Mother, what are you doing with my husband on my matrimonial bed? Wait, is this a dream or I can't see well? Trying to open my eyes well. The day my world fell apart began like any other. I had just returned from the market carrying a basket full of fresh vegetables and spices, eager to prepare Olayame's favorite meal. The sun was high, casting golden light over our compound, but nothing could have prepared me for the darkness that awaited me inside my own home. I pushed the door open, my heart light and lips humming a tune. The silence in the house felt strange, but I brushed it off. Olayame must have been taking one of his afternoon naps. I headed toward the bedroom, eager to share a laugh or two before I began cooking. As I opened the door, the sight before me stole the breath from my lungs. My basket slipped from my hands, scattering tomatoes and peppers across the floor. There, on my matrimonial bed, the bed that Olayame and I had shared since the day we were wed, lay my mother and my husband tangled together in betrayal. Mama, Olayame, I whispered, disbelief shocking my voice. They both rose, their faces a picture of guilt, yet neither of them moved. My mother was the first to rise, wrapping herself in the same wrapper she had given me as a gift during my wedding. The sight made my stomach turn. Chioma, she said, her voice calm as if I had caught her doing nothing more than resting. You are home early. Her words, so casual, hit me like a slap. Ellie, I said, my voice trembling. Mama, what are you doing on my bed with my husband? Yeme sat up, his face pale. Chioma, don't you dare say a word, I shouted, my anger breaking through the shock. My eyes pained as I turned to my mother. How could you do this to me, Mama? You of all people. You are supposed to protect me, not destroy me, Mama. Raised her chin, her expression unreadable. Chioma, calm down. You are being dramatic. Dramatic? I repeated, my voice rising. I walked in to find my mother in my bed with my husband, and you call me dramatic? She sighed, her tone laced with irritation. You wouldn't understand. Marriage is complicated, Chioma. You are too young to know the struggles a woman faces. I wouldn't understand, I asked, incredulous. You raised me to respect my vows, to honor my home, and now you are standing here, shamelessly defending this abomination. Mama's expressions hardened. Life isn't as black and white as you think. It is. Your father left me years ago, and I have been lonely. Ola Yemi is a man, and men have needs. Maybe if you paid more attention to him, this wouldn't have happened. Her words struck me like a blade to the chest. My own mother, blaming me for her betrayal. I turned to Ola Yeme, who still sat silently, his head hung low. And you, I said, my voice shaking with rage, you vowed to love and honor me. Was that all a lie? He looked up, his eyes filled with regret. Chioma, I made a mistake. Please, let's talk about this. There is nothing to talk about, I screamed, my tears finally spilling over. You have both destroyed everything I held sacred. I can't even look at you. I stormed out of the room, my heart shattered in a million pieces. The betrayal was too much to bear. My own mother, the woman who had brought me into this world, and my husband, the man I thought I would grow old with. They had ripped my life apart without a second thought. That night, I locked myself in the guest room, refusing to speak to either of them. Mama tried to knock on the door, her voice soft as she called my name, but I couldn't face her. Not yet. Olayemi didn't even bother to try. He must have known that there was nothing he could do to fix what he had done. As I lay on the hard mattress, staring at the ceiling, one thought consumed me. How did it come to this? I didn't know how long I sat in that room, staring at nothing, my mind numb. The house that once felt like a home now felt like a graveyard, haunted by betrayal. I couldn't stay. With shaky hands, I grabbed a bag and stuffed it with a few clothes. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew I had to get out before I lost my mind completely. I walked past the bedroom without looking in, past the kitchen where Mama used to hang while cooking, past the living room where Olayemi and I once shared laughter. As I reached for the door, I heard footsteps behind me. Chioma, please don't do this. Olayemi's voice was soft, desperate. We need to talk. I turned to him slowly, my face unreadable. Talk? What is there to talk about, Olayemi? How do you expect me to sleep next to you again, to share a meal with you, to even look at you without remembering that scene? His eyes filled with guilt, but I didn't care. He had made his choice, they both had. I pushed past him and walked out. The road stretched before me, dark and endless. The night air was heavy, pressing down on my chest as if trying to suffocate me. I had driven for what felt like hours, but I had no destination in mind. And then somehow I found myself at the beach. The waves crashed against the shore, the salty breeze brushing against my tear-streaked face. I parked the car and stepped out, my legs feeling weak beneath me. The ocean had always been my escape, a place where I could lose myself in the vastness, where my problems felt small compared to the endless water. I sat on the damp sand, hanging my knees to my chest. The silence was loud, filling my ears with echoes of my past. I thought marriage would finally bring me peace. I thought Olayemi was my fresh start, but Mama had destroyed that too. As I stared at the waves, memories of Mama came rushing back. I remember being a little girl, watching other kids run into their mother's arms while Mama barely looked at me. She was always angry, always bitter. She had raised me alone, but never with love, only duty. Anytime I asked about Papa, her face wouldn't twist in rage. Don't ever ask me about that useless man again, she would snap. But why? What had Papa done to her? And why did it still hurt her after so many years? A tear slipped down my cheek. All my life I had told myself that maybe, just maybe, Mama had suffered too much. Maybe that is why she was the way she was. But sleeping with my husband, no amount of pain in the past could excuse that. I buried my face in my hands and sobbed. I had no one, no siblings, no family to run to, no home to return to. For the first time in my life, I truly understood what it meant to be alone. The waves roared, with wind whispering secrets only the ocean could understand. I sat there, drowning in my own pain, when I heard footsteps crash against the sound behind me. I stiffed. I knew that scent, that presence, Olayemi. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I could feel his hesitation in the air. Choma, his voice was soft, almost pleading. Please, talk to me. I let out a bitter laugh. Talk? What is left to say? He moved closer, but I didn't look at him. I couldn't. I know what I did was unforgivable, he said, his voice thick with regret. But please, just hear me out. It is not what you think. My hands bowed into face. Not what I think. I had walked in and seen it with my own eyes. What part of that needed further explanation? You betrayed me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, and was with my mother. A sharp sign left his lips. I don't even know how it happened, Chioma. I swear to you, I never planned this. I turned to him now, anger flashing in my eyes. You never planned it? So what? Mama tripped and fell into your arms? Clothes magically disappeared. Explain it to me, Olayami, cause I'm struggling to understand. He ran a hand through his hair, his frustration evident. She manipulated me, Chioma. I don't know how else to say it. I narrowed my eyes. Manipulated you? He swallowed hard. She would always come to the house when you were away, saying she was just checking on me. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then she started saying things, twisting things. I frowned. What things? She told me you were just like your father. He admitted, his voice breaking, that you didn't really love me, that you would eventually leave me, just like he left her. She said, women in your bloodline weren't meant for marriage, that it was only a matter of time before you abandoned me. I felt my heart stop for a second. Mama, this wasn't just betrayal, this was planned. She poisoned my mind, Olayame continued, his voice crackling, and I was stupid enough to listen. She would always find ways to be close, to touch my hand, to comfort me when we had arguments. One night, I drank too much, and he swallowed again. One mistake turned into another. I stared at him, my mind spinning. She wanted this to happen, I whispered. She wanted to break my marriage. Olayame nodded, his eyes desperate. I know, I messed up, Chioma. I should have seen through her. I should have pushed her away. I should have fought harder. But I didn't, and now I have lost the one person who ever truly mattered to me. Tears blurred my vision. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal itself or the fact that my own mother had caused my downfall. Olayame knelt before me, his hands shaking. Please, Chioma, I will do anything to make this right. I love you. I stared at him, my heart turned in two. Could I ever forgive him? Could I ever forgive her? The ocean crashed loudly against the shore as if demanding my answer. After his confession, I didn't respond. I simply stood up, turned my back to him, and walked away. I didn't go home. I went straight to Mama's house. I stood there, my body trembling with rage, my heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. The walls of my mother's house felt too small, too tight, like they were closing in on me. I had come here for answers, for justice, for something to make this pain bearable. But all I got was her cold, knowing stare. Mama didn't flinch under my gaze. She simply sat there, peeling cassava like she wasn't the reason my world had just shattered. Why? My voice cracked, but I forced the words out. Mama didn't even look up. Why what? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Why did you destroy my marriage? Why did you poison Olayame's mind against me? You knew exactly what you were doing. She set the knife down, finally meeting my eyes. So he finally told you. She nodded slowly. Good, good. I clenched my fist. That is all you have to say? She sighed, wiping her hands on a piece of cloth. Now, ask yourself, why did he believe me so easily? I blinked. What? Mama leaned forward, her voice dropping lower. Do you think men betray their wives just like that? No, they betray them when a seed of doubt is planted. I only had to push a little and Olayame fell. If he truly loved you, he would have never touched me. My stomach twisted. So you did this just to prove a point? Mama shook her head. No, Chioma, I did this to protect you. I took a step back, laughing bitterly. Protect me, Mama. You slept with my husband. How is that protection? Her face darkened, her voice sharp as a blade. Because men always leave Chioma. Always. Something in her tone sent a chill through me. It wasn't just bitterness, it was pain. Deep, raw pain. I swallowed hard. What are you hiding? My voice came out quieter now, almost a whisper. What did my father do to you? Mama staved. For the first time since I walked into this house, she looked afraid. Her eyes darted to the window, as if expecting someone to be watching. Her fingers gripped the edge of the table, knuckles turning white. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just about Oloyame. This was about the past. I had spent my whole life knowing that the mere mention of my father's name made Mama's face harden. She had always refused to talk about him, always acted like he had never existed. But now, as she sat there, her body tense, her face shadowed by something darker than anger, I realized the truth. My father wasn't just a man who left. He was something much, much worse. Mama, I whispered, tell me the truth. Her lips parted, then closed. For the first time in my life, my mother looked lost. My heart pounded. What did my father do? And why, after all these years, was Mama still afraid? I walked away, not because I was done, but because if I stayed a second longer, I would break. I needed to escape the suffocating presence of the woman who had ruined me, not just today, but all my life. The evening breeze hit my face as I stepped outside, but it did nothing to cool the fire burning inside me. My legs moved on their own, carrying me down the dusty road. I didn't know where I was going, and I didn't care. Behind me, I heard the door creak open. Chioma, Mama called, her voice laced with something I couldn't place. Was it concern, guilt, or just another manipulation? I didn't turn back. I kept walking, faster, anyway from the past she had left behind. But no matter how far I went, the pain followed me. Olayame, my husband, my own mother, together in my bed. I let out a shaky breath, blinking hard to keep the tears from falling. But the images wouldn't leave my head. Olayame hands on her body, the way Mama had looked at me not with shame, but with cold amusement. I reached the end of the street and stopped. The world around me blurred as I stood there, hands shaking. What now? I had no home to return to. I had no home to return to, no husband to hold me, no family to run to. I was alone, and for the first time in my life, I realized that I had always been. I didn't even notice the sound of footsteps approaching until a hand grabbed my arm. Olayame, Chioma, please, he pleaded, his voice raw, come home. I yanked my arm away, turning to face him with all the rage boiling inside me. Home? I spat. You mean the house where you slept with my mother? He wins. It was a mistake. A mistake? I let out a cold laugh. A mistake is forgetting our anniversary. A mistake is burning rice on the stove. Sleeping with my mother. That is not a mistake, Olayame. That is a curse. His face twisted in pain. I swear to you, it meant nothing. I was weak. She manipulated me. Do you even hear yourself? I cut him off, my voice rising. You are a grown man, Olayame, a husband, and you want me to believe my mother forced you into bed? His shoulders sagged. I love you, Chioma. Please, don't let this destroy us. Do you hear yourself? I cut him off, my voice rising. You are a grown man, Olayame, a husband, and you want me to believe my mother My mother forced you into bed. His shoulders sagged. I love you, Chioma. Please, don't let this destroy us. I shook my head, my chest tight. Destroy us? What was left to destroy? I took a deep breath. Tell me something, Olayemi. I said quietly, if I had slept with your father, would you still be standing here? His eyes widened in horror. Chioma, would you? He swallowed hard, unable to answer. I stepped closer, my voice steady now. What you did with Mama is an abomination. It is something no number of apologies can erase. How do you expect me to lay beside you, knowing you have already lain with the woman who gave birth to me? Olayame reached for me again, but I stepped back. Chioma, please, I need you. I let out a bitter laugh. You heard me, Olayame, but you threw me away. His lips parted, but I didn't wait to hear whatever excuse he had next. I turned and walked away. For good. I didn't say another word. There was nothing left to say. The weight of Mama's betrayal, the lies, and the unanswered questions sat heavy on my chest. I turned and walked out. Each step, feeling like I was peeling myself away from a life that no longer belonged to me. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I had to get away, far from Olayame, far from Mama, far from the pain. The streets were quiet as I walked, but my thoughts were loud. The betrayal kept replaying in my head like a cruel joke. How could Mama do this? How could she take everything from me? Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't stop. I just kept walking, away from my home, away from the past. When I finally stopped, I found myself near a small guest house at the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was better than going back. With the little money I had, I paid for a room and locked myself inside. For the first time in my life, I was completely alone. At this moment, I was completely alone. I sat on the small bed, staring at the wall. Everything felt empty. Then my mind drifted back to what the neighbor had said. If only you knew the full story. What full story? My father, the man Mama refused to talk about. Could he be the missing piece in all of this? A new thought crossed my mind. Maybe the only way to understand why Mama did what she did was to find the man who had been missing all my life. But was I ready for the truth? I stayed away. I had to. The shame, the betrayal, the sheer weight of it all. I couldn't bear it any longer. I left the city and found solace in a quiet town far from my mother and Olayemi. No one knew me there. No one whispered behind my back. No one looked at me with pity. But peace was an illusion. At night, my dreams were haunted by Mama's voice, her cold words echoing in my mind. Men always leave. Chioma, always. Why had she said that? What had happened to her? I wanted to hate her, to erase her from my life, but a part of me still craved answers. Weeks passed and I heard nothing from her. Then one afternoon, I got a call from an old neighbor back in the village. Chioma, your mother is sick. I staked. Sick? What do you mean? She collapsed at the market. They took her to the hospital. You should come home. I should have felt relief, maybe even satisfaction. This was the same woman who had destroyed my marriage. The woman who had taken away the one person I thought would always be mine. But instead, my voice trembled. Against my better judgment, I returned to the village. At the hospital, Mama lay weak, her face pale, her once fierce eyes dim. The sight of her like that unsettled me. When the doctor walked in, he didn't hesitate. She's pregnant. My head stopped. Pregnant? I turned to Mama, expecting her to deny it, to lash out, to tell the doctor he was mistaken. But she just stared at the ceiling, silent. The shame she had given me had now found her. But the bigger question was, who was responsible for this pregnancy? And why did Mama look like she would rather die than to answer? I stood frozen, staring at the doctor as his words rang in my ears. She's pregnant. This had to be a mistake. I turned to her, expecting denial, outrage, anything, but she just lay there, staring at the ceiling as if she hadn't heard. Mama, my voice was barely a whisper. Is this true? Silence. The doctor cleared his throat. She needs rest. I will give you both some privacy. He walked out, leaving us alone in the heavy silence. I swallowed hard and stepped closer. Mama, say something. Her eyes flickered, and for the first time in my life, I saw something in them that unsettled me. Fear. I don't want to talk about it, she muttered. I clenched my fist. You don't get to do that, Mama. Not this time. You have done enough damage, and now this? Who is responsible? She shut her eyes, breathing on Evelyn. Leave it alone, Chioma. I laughed bitterly. Leave it alone. You destroyed my marriage. You ruined my life. And now you are carrying a child. Whose child, Mama? What are you hiding? Her hands gripped the bedsheet tightly. Some things are better left buried. I took a step back, a chill running down my spine. Mama had always been strong, unshaken, always ready with a sharp tongue. But now, she looked like a woman trapped in her own secret, and that terrified me more than anything. I had come here for answers, but suddenly I wasn't sure I wanted to hear them, because for the first time I had a feeling that whatever Mama was hiding was far worse than I could ever imagine. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned. Mama was echoing in my head. Some things are better left buried. What did she mean, and why was she afraid? I needed answers. Just as I was about to drift off, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. Hello. A deep, raspy voice came through. Stop digging, Chioma. You won't like what you will find. My breath caught in my throat. Who is this? Silence, then a slow chuckle. The past is buried for a reason. The lie went dead. I sat up, my hands shaking. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. Who was that? How did they know I was searching for answers? I grabbed my keys and rushed out. I needed to see Mama. The drive back to the village felt longer than ever. The road stretched endlessly under the airy glow of my headlight, and every shadow felt like it was watching me. By the time I reached home, my hands were shaking so badly. As I stepped out of the car, a sharp cry pierced the night. It came from inside the house. My chest tightened. Mama, no answers. I rushed to the door and knocked hard. Mama, open up. Silence. Then another choke. My heart pounded as I pushed the door open. Mama was on the floor, clutching her stomach, her body convulsing violently. Foam bubbled at the corners of her mouth as she gasped for air. A half-empty bottle of something dark lay beside her. Poison. I dropped to my knees beside her, my hands shaking. Mama, what did you do? She coughed, her lips trembling, her breath coming in rage gasps. Chioma, my child. Her voice was weak, but her eyes wide with regret held mine. Tears burned my eyes. Why, Mama? Why would you do this? She let out a wheezing breath, her fingers digging weakly into my arm. I have sinned. I have committed an abomination. I'm cursed. I have turned the universe against me because of my past. Her body jerked violently as another wave of pain hit. I held her close, desperation clawing my throat. Mama, stay with me. I will get help. She shook her head. No, there is no time. Her hand moved weakly to her stomach. Chioma, forgive me. I swallowed hard. Forgive you for what? Her lips trembled. Olayame, your husband. I froze. The room seemed to tilt. What about him? What about him? My voice came out in a whisper. Mama's breath hinged. Her next words sent ice through my veins. He is responsible for my pregnancy, and he is the father. The world shattered around me. I pulled away, staring at her in horror. What? A single tear rolled down my cheek. I tried to stop, but he kept coming back. I was weak, Chioma. I covered my ears. No, 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 stop. But the words were already out. The truth was already buried in my chest like a knife. Olayame, my husband, the father of my mother's unborn child. Mama reached for my hand. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please, my child, her eyes fluttered, her breathing grew shallow. Don't let this secret bury you too. Mama coughed violently, clutching her stomach as she lay on the floor. Foam gathered at the corners of her lips, her body trembling. My heart pounded as I knelt beside her, shaking her shoulders. Mama, what did you think? What did you think? Talk to me. She gasped for her eyes fluttering open. Tears pooled in them as she reached for my hand. Chioma, I need to tell you everything. Save your strength. Let me get help. I begged, but she gripped me tighter, her nails digging into my skin. No, no more running. I have to tell you before it is too late. Her voice wavered, and then, with a shaky breath, she spoke. You think I'm a terrible mother. You think I wanted to destroy you. But Chioma, you don't know the full story. You don't know what I have suffered. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Then told me. She stared past me, her eyes clouded with memories. I was just 18 when I met Atanga. He was my first love, my first everything. I was young, foolish, and I believed every lie he told me. He was my lecturer, and he knew exactly what to say to me to feel special. When I got pregnant, I thought he would be happy. I thought he would marry me, but no. You know what he did, Chioma? She took a breath. Atanga, your father, he didn't deny you. I stayed. When I told him I was pregnant, he told me to get rid of you. He said I was too young, that a baby would ruin both our futures. But I refused. I thought he would come around, that he would see how much I loved him. A bitter smile curled her lips. I was so foolish. I listened, my heart hammering. When I told my parents, my father was furious. He dragged me to Atange's house and gave him two choices: marry me or go to prison for getting an 18-year-old pregnant. Atanga didn't even hesitate. He agreed to the marriage, but not because he loved me. She swallowed hard, her eyes distant. He did it to save his career, his reputation. He was a lecturer, respected, admired. If people knew what he had done, he would lose everything. My voice cracked as she continued. I thought things would get better once we were married, but that was just a beginning of my nightmare. My parents abandoned me. They said I had brought shame to the family, that I was now Atange's problem, and he made sure I suffered for it. I squeezed her hand, unable to speak. He took everything from me, Chioma. He stopped me from going to lectures. He turned me into a prisoner in my own home, and when he wasn't locking me inside, he was out with other women. I was carrying his child, and he was busy with girls my age. Tears burned my eyes. Then one day, I caught him, her face twisted with pain, in our own bed with my own friend from school. I gasped. Mama left out a shuddering breath. I wasn't even shocked, not anymore. But then I heard what he told her. Her fingers dug weakly into my skin. He said he never loved me, that he only married me to avoid scandal, that he was just waiting for me to give birth so he could divorce me and be free. The room felt like it was spinning. That was the day I stopped loving him. No, that was the day I started hating him. Her voice was thick with emotion. I wanted him to suffer the way he made me suffer. I wanted him to feel pain. She went quiet for a moment before whispering, and one day I couldn't take it anymore. I felt my entire body stiff. She let out a shaky breath. I poisoned him, Chioma. I froze. I put it in his food. I watched him eat it, and when he started choking, I just stood there. I wanted him to feel powerless, the way he made me feel. Her lips trembled, and then he was gone. A heavy silence fell between us. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Mama's chest rose and fell, her eyes searching mine. I thought it would free me, Chioma. I thought the pain would leave, but it never did. It only got worse. Tears slipped down my cheeks. Killing Atanga, she whispered, I thought would set me free. I held my breath. I wanted to erase him from my life, wipe out every trace of him, every memory. I wanted to forget he ever existed. Her lips trembled, but then I gave birth to you. Mama's body shook as she let out a weak, bitter laugh. You had his eyes, Chioma, the same sharp gaze, the same shape of his mouth. Every time I looked at you, I saw him. She shut her eyes tight, as if the memories were suffocating her. I hated you for that. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I tried to love you, she continued. I tried, Chioma, but I couldn't. Every time you cried, I heard his voice. Every time you called me Mama, it reminded me of the life he forced on me, the life he stole from me. I shook my head, my heart breaking. Mama, I was just a child. She let out a long, shaky breath. I know, and that is why I hated myself even more. Her voice cracked. I resented you for existing, for being the reason I was tied to him forever. But at the same time, I hated myself for feeling that way about my own blood. Her confession sliced through me like a knife. I had spent my whole life wondering why she was so cold, why she never held me close like other mothers did with their children. And now I knew. I had been a constant reminder of her pain. I had been a wound that never healed. The weight of her words pressed down on me. Mama let out a soft, broken chuckle. And then, when you grew up, when you started looking for love, for happiness, I couldn't let you have it. I couldn't let you trust men, not after what one did to me. I thought if I could stop you from loving, I could protect you from the pain I went through. I wiped my tears, my hands trembling. So that is why you did that to Oloyame. Mama nodded weakly. I saw the way you looked at him, Chioma. I saw the love in your eyes, and I knew that love was going to destroy you, just like it destroyed me. Her voice dropped to a whisper, so I had to take him away from you. A fresh wave of pain crashed over me. I stared at my mother, the woman who had given me life, yet had spent years pushing me away, hurting me, ruining my happiness because of a past I had no part in. I should have been angry. I should have screamed at her, told her how much she had destroyed me in the process. But all I saw was a broken woman, a woman drowning in her own pain, a woman who, despite everything, had still suffered. Mama's fingers loosened around my Chioma. Can you ever forgive me? I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. I didn't know if I could. I didn't know if I should. All I knew was that my entire life had been shaped by a past I never even knew existed. And now I had to decide what to do with it. Mama's grip on my wrist was weak, but her nails dug into my skin as if she was afraid to let go. Her lips trembled, her breath coming in short, rage gasps. I wanted to pull away. I wanted to scream at her. I told her she deserved this suffering after all she had done to me. But I couldn't, not as I watched her fight for air, her eyes pleading with me. I was drunk, she whispered. I let my pain turn me into a monster. A tear slid down the side of her face. I had never seen my mother cry before, not when my father left, not when life got too hard, never. I hate you when I should have loved you. Her voice felt like a blade slicing through my chest. My jaw tightened. I wanted to tell her she was right, that she had destroyed me, but I just stood there frozen. She coughed violently, her body shaking. I knelt beside her, panic creeping. Mama, hold on, I will get help. As Mama lay on the floor, weak and struggling for breath, I held her trembling hand, my own body shaking with shock and grief. Tears blurred my vision, but I needed to hear everything before it was too late. Mama, please stay with me, I whispered, pressing her cold fingers. Tell me what I need to know. She let out a weak, bitter laugh. You need to find them, Chioma, his family. They don't know about you. My brief caught. What do you mean? She coughed, blood staining the corner of her lips. Atanga never told them. He was too ashamed. His family, they would have never allowed him to throw me away like garbage. I shook my head, my heart pounding. So all these years, they never knew I existed. Her eyes darkened. No, and that is why you must go to them. Let them know what he did to me, to us. She paused, swallowing hard. Maybe they owe you something. I wasn't sure what she meant. Revenge, justice, or she believed they would take me in, give me the love she had denied me. Mama, how do I find them? I asked desperately. Her fingers dug weakly into my palm. The village. I hid the truth, but someone there knows. Her breath became rage, her grip loosening. Panic gripped my chest. Mama, don't leave me. Tell me who. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but all that came out was a shuddering breath. Her body went still in my arms. Mama, my voice broke as I shook her gently. Mama, please. But she was gone. A chilling silence filled the room, wrapping around me like a dark cloud. I wasn't just mourning my mother. I was left alone with secrets, with questions that had no answers. And now, I had only one choice. I had to find them. I had to find his family. As I stepped into the village, I felt eyes on me. Whispers followed my every move. I didn't need to introduce myself. The moment they saw me, they knew. A group of elders sat under a large tree, watching me closely. Before I could speak, an older woman gasped and covered her mouth. You look just like him, she whispered. I swallowed hard. Atanga, he was my father. The woman's eyes filled with something between shock and sadness. I'm his wife. Her words hit me like a slap. I hadn't considered that he might have started over, built a new life, had more children. Just then, two young men stepped forward. They stared at me, their eyes mirroring mine. Our sister, one of them murmured. For the first time in my life, I saw a part of myself in someone else. Atanga had abandoned them too. He had left and never looked back. Tears burned my eyes, but I held them back. This wasn't just my story anymore. It was theirs too. I had come searching for answers. Instead, I found family, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to heal. As I sat under the large mango tree, the cool evening breeze brushed against my skin. For the first time in a long while, I felt still. No more running, no more pain. Beside me, the old woman, Atanga's abandoned wife, peeled roasted corn with steady hands. She looked at me with gentle eyes and handed me a piece. "Eat, my daughter. You have been through enough," she said. I hesitated for a moment before taking it. The warmth of the corn in my palm felt like something I hadn't known in years. Acceptance. Just then, a young man, one of my siblings, came and sat across from me. He studied my face with quiet curiosity before breaking into a smile. "You have Baba's nose," he said, chuckling softly. "No doubt you are one of us." The others laughed, nodding in agreement. A lump rose in my throat. I had spent years searching for love, for a place where I truly belonged. And now, in this village I never knew, among people who had never met me before, I had found it. I swallowed hard and whispered, maybe I wasn't cursed after all. Maybe life had just been waiting to bring me home. And for the first time in years, I smiled a real, genuine smile. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to POKA'S Stories and Folktales for more captivating tales. Your support keeps the stories coming. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next story. I love you all.